On the Jasmy coverage for today, we're going to do an outline. It's going to feature, of course, first Hara, aka Hara-san. Yes, I had to do it like that. In regards to Avita. Now, some people have stated they're getting tired of hearing about the whole thing with Avita, but to be honest, not this time. Check it out for yourself, straight from the one and only Hara. And in this particular article, we're going to jump into it. But what I like is what is mentioned here. And I think my keyboard just died on me. Hold on a second. There we go. Wait, yeah, let's backtrack for a second. Yes, the Avita article featured on where PCmarket.com. Now, I went ahead and looked at it, reviewed it, and so on. But I want to get into what Hara highlighted. And if anything, your main key takeaway here should be the actual demo of this Jasmy secure PC. It's one thing to talk about, hey, Avita, right? Can we see an actual demo of the Jasmy Secure Agent Pro dashboard and not have it be in what? In, like, for instance, Japanese, right? Or some of these other languages, but actually in English. And guess what? We get it this time. So this is cool. All right. So he states Jasmy's personal data locker, as in Hara, allows you to have more data than you need. All right. So not being, restricted, if you will, right? Traceability, decentralization, improved security through encryption, and is the perfect product, to introduce to just that Web3. So he blows up a little bit more, gives you an example of what he's referencing here. I have, of course, this in a way in which you're going to see it a little bit more clear, bigger. But as we go to PCmarket.com, you're going to notice this right here, and we're just going to get right to it. Here we go. So this is interpreted from Chinese to, for instance, English. And we just had a major drop off, so I don't know what's going on. We just, boom, lost. I guess people don't want to hear about Jasmy today. Just lost, okay, now it went back. That's so weird. 19, now we're back up to 33. That's strange. Please smash the like, because the algorithm is doing some funky things. Tim Shea, you're right, man. You're right. Some weird stuff going on YouTube today. Weird stuff. But anyway, all right, that's okay. We'll grind through it. But here's the thing, guys, all right? So it states, Blockchain PC introduces blockchain encryption, the most secure data protection computer in Web3 generation. I mean, not, one of the bunch, right? The most, right? That's bullish in itself. When was this published? This was August 15, 2023, I believe. What was that, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. We're on the 16th today. Here's a guy who's seen, you should be accustomed to by now, especially if you hold the Jasmy token. But basically, when you get more into this, I like some of the key things that are mentioned here. And that is actually this part right here. Avita Blockchain PC, officially released at Computex this year, providing users with a new data security experience at the personal and business levels. Right? So not just like, the saying goes, the retail levels, right? Since the emergence of the first decentralized blockchain tech in 2008, related technologies have blossomed and new application solutions have emerged continuously. However, the general public's perception of it tends to be virtual assets and financial aspects. Now, this guy that you see here pictured, I'll show you again just in case you missed it. All right, he is Dr. Zhao Yang. I know it sounds like a mouthful, but yes, Dr. Zhang Zhao Yang. He's the CEO of Avita Technologies. It says Dr. Alex Chung sees that its essence can be used more, especially in the application of computer data security. Of course, you see all these, different Avita blockchain laptops, if you will, secure blockchain PC / laptops, tablets, et cetera, et cetera. But he goes on to mention, as in, the CEO of Avita, right, Dr. Zhang Zhao Yang, he believes that today's society, and think about how this is worded, all right, is increasingly relying on computers to store various data. Right, we do see that, like there's so many different data storage solutions, is there not? I mean, you know, shout out to Tim Shea. There's Flux. Shout out to me and some of the other guys who hold Filecoin. There's a lot of different solutions, but is there one that is unique in its own right, right? That, let's face it, could very well be in its own class and stay that way. Yeah, Jasmy. Check this out for a second. More daily activities need to be connected to the internet, and the risk of data leakage is increasing day by day. Decentralized blockchain encryption technology can make up for the weakness, and users will have greater dominance. Now, this guy, this is the CEO from Avita, states that he described the data protection and encryption functions of blockchain PC just like a house that requires the owner to provide a special key to enter. That's interesting, you know, like what we say, like, you know, who has that master key? Conditions such as use time, you know, and so on. It goes on to mention this part about, you know, the cooperation between Hong Kong and, of course, Japanese Internet of Things companies. Let's take a brief moment to get into this. Were you aware that Avita launches, of course, the first blockchain PC on the market, and it has gone ahead and applied on the Windows platform, right? You know, we saw that connection to Microsoft, for instance. And of course, it can provide users with just that decentralization and data autonomy, emphasizing just that Web3. And of course, has a simple, easy to understand user interface. And that's the bottom line, right? You can't make an app or, you know, let's face it, you know, this type of technology and have it where it's not user friendly. At the end of the day, if it's not user friendly, who's really going to use it, right? So it goes on to mention, it says, regardless of individual users, small and medium sized enterprises, and remember that, and even teaching institutions are very suitable. So when we talk about, for instance, the metaverse, you know, just because Jasmy doesn't have its own metaverse doesn't mean it needs its own metaverse, right? You know, like Shiba Inu is obviously trying to do the, you know, the Shibers, the unofficial. I don't know, is that official? Might be unofficial, but you know, the Shiba Inu metaverse is supposedly going to be epic and, you know, like a premier metaverse platform. Does Jasmy really need its own metaverse? I think the answer basically is no. But their utility used in metaverses, not just one metaverses, metaverses. How big will that be? And especially when it comes to, like it says, the teaching institutions. Now, on this part, I went ahead and what I liked about this was kind of like what you saw on Twitter. You can magnify the image a bit. Let's go ahead and jump into this for a brief moment. And what you're going to see right here is an actual screenshot from the Jasmy Secure PC Manager. And it's kind of nice and big. I mean, it's not perfectly crystal clear or anything, but in my opinion, this is the first time that I'm aware of that we've had an actual English version screenshot that gives us an idea of just how this Secure PC Manager application dashboard looks like. So let's take a look at this for a brief moment. So as we get into it, you're going to see, for instance, a key thing that I want to bring to your attention. Now, this person is referred to as Ma, right? Some of you guys refer to as your mother as your Ma, or your dad as your Pa. You're old school. You watch too much Little House on the Prairie back in the day. You have literally Miss Melissa Gilbert, you know, posters all over your house. No, not really, but get what I'm saying, right? Ma and Pa. Here's Ma, all right? 1 hour of non-operating function, okay? Why do we point some of this out? Well, why wouldn't we point some of this out? At the end of the day, if you want a good example of what the management software looks like, and you hold the token and you're bullish on Jasmy, you do want to kind of have an idea of the product that you're investing in. I mean, if I go to a store and I'm investing into certain type of software or product of any sort, am I just blindly throwing my money at something? Well, of course not. Check this out. Working status check. Operating status. Look what it mentions. How long you've been operating in this particular mode. How long you've been dormant in this particular mode. How many times you clicked around, for instance. It records every single type of aspect you could think of. And the reason for that is because it all applies towards data collection, data management, right? That's the key thing. Even records the specific name of your computer. I don't know if you about you, but remember back in the day, like your default name of your computer would be, for instance, let's say your name is, Mike. It'd be called Mike-PC. This computer name, for instance, Liber-X, gives the product name, operating system name. And again, think about this for a moment, guys. Windows 11 Pro featuring Jasmy Secure PC, let's face it, solutions, right? This particular app. It has the access point at the bottom of Vita Tech. Gives, for instance, IP address, all this stuff. I'm going to show you another picture that was kind of interesting. And it's this one right here. And on this dashboard, interpreted into English, is some key things. Records, for instance, mouse functionality, how long you've done that, how many times you clicked, where did you click. Some of these things may seem like is boring, but the key thing is every single aspect of what you're doing is being tracked, but you, on the other hand, have the control of where this is going to go, and especially if you want a third party to monetize it. Everything that we're taking for granted as we speak with our data, whether it's going to YouTube, whether it's going to, simple Google searches, Amazon, just use your Prime account to, I don't know, purchase a Wu-Tang hoodie, or a brand new back scratcher with like state-of-the-art, sharpened, I don't know, things on it to make it that much more better of a relief of your back being scratched. All that data is being tracked. Well, look at this, right? Let's say you're on a network and, for instance, you want to eliminate the ghost drive. You don't want people to see that drive. There's a functionality to disable that. Now, there's other technologies out there that have that same functionality, but again, this is an extra option. But nonetheless, before in the past, like I was going to state, is you saw the Japanese versions, and it's nice to be able to see some of these visualizations for a change in regards to Jasmy. All right, jumping back into this for a second. As I got further into this, and I discovered some other key things, and basically speaking, I like this right here. He states, Jasmy's prudence and consideration and application of blockchain tech. He appreciated that the other party advocated relevant monitoring projects in Japan. And we're talking about the Internet of Things here, right? Those relevant monitoring devices, the example that we gave you last week, monitoring a golf swing, monitoring a pitch from a baseball, how the batter hits that, monitoring a person, or a group of people, how long it takes them to board a bus, a bullet train, you name it. The Internet of Things to contribute towards Society 5.0. Goes on to mention, since both companies are rooted in Asia, for instance, Jasmy, Avita, and so on, they have similar understanding of local culture. Both parties hope to create more experience value for ordinary users through forward-looking technology. Right. Not staying stuck in the mud like Ethereum, for instance, and not innovating. Right. We know, and we already saw this, Jasmy has scalability. Right. If you saw the deep dive, literally is mentioned on the front of that thumbnail. Scalability solved, right? How is that? Centrality, their layer 2 solution. Obviously, maybe QNT in the future would be massive. It says therefore, this alliance was made and they plan more cooperation plans in the future. This is a very, very proud and profound partnership. Now on this one, I thought I had this one to share. Maybe I don't. Let me see. I don't think I did share this one. I'm going to share this image on the other screen. Let's try to pull this up. This one's pretty good. Let's do this one. And on this one, looks similar to the other one, right? But again, a great, I should say great. I mean, it's a little bit blurry, but you got to keep in mind. But again, it's in English. And, when you get more into it, it gives you, like, for instance, some information about the ancient version, terminal control, last history of command execution, references the ghost drive, when it was accessed. So you get to see if there's any crazy stuff going on, right? Just because the ghost drive was, for instance, disabled, did somebody access it who shouldn't have been able to access it? What about USB drives? Anything that can obviously copy over, pictures, you name it. Where is that going? Everything is basically tracked. You can see what is happening. Call it what you want, but that's not bad. All right. I like that functionality of it. I'm going to get into the last bit of what they have here. I like this. 3 pillars of application. Avita blockchain PCs are basically preloaded, like it mentions, with that Jasmy secure PC solution. They're going to combine, for instance, blockchain tech to provide 3 major applications. And take a look at this. Now, if you're a hardcore enthusiast of Jasmy and been doing more of your own research, you already know where we're going with this. But check this out. So the 3 major applications that are bundled with the software: secure data locker, PC operation status viewer, and of course, PC functions management tool. That's why we show you some of those examples of, where is, like, who's messing with the ghost drive, who's plugging in a flash drive. I mean, it seems all simple. Again, some of those functions. It gives you the explanation about the secure data locker. We know about some of this stuff. PC operator status viewer. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. The management tool, you can nerd it out more if you want. But what I also like is this part right here. Hold on a second. Where this guy Alex states that he noticed that the global epidemic in the past few years has greatly increased, listen to this, the demand of individual users for portable computer devices that combine consumer entertainment and productivity applications. For the naysayers to say, like, well, so what? There's a Jasmy secure PC and so on. What is the big deal? The big deal basically is this: supply and demand to meet, for instance, certain software applications that will meet the demands of let's face it, a Web3 atmosphere, a Web3 time that we're going to be here soon, right? Do you want to be using old applications that only make sense in a Web 2 realm? No, right? That doesn't make any sense. So this is an ever-evolving type technology. Goes on to also mention that at the same time, at the business level, due to the prevalence of internet, social media, and short videos, right? We're always talking about YouTube Shorts. We're talking about, like Facebook, what they call it, Reels. And there's, of course, TikTok, right? Remote office collaboration, video conferencing, the demand for such things. Think about this, guys. We're always talking about the Internet of Things. The demand, right? Think about this. For such things has increased significantly, or as it says here, sharply, and the computer devices required for dispatch and remote office are also increasing. So this covers so many different areas that people are not aware of. The healthcare industry, hence why they got that great partnership with the CARE project. So many different industries, the sports industries, obviously, right? But everything that is contributing to this whole new concept of future society, that is the bottom line. What kind of value will this have? I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of value. And when people talk about, for instance, the price shock of their particular, digital asset and so on, Jasmy stands right up, above the pack when it comes to that, because they're not one layer, a one-layer solution as far as one utility layer. Right? Multiple layers of utility here. Speaking of demand, there's just a little bit more. The demand for IoT, right, Internet of Things, device management, and sensitive data protection will continue to be. I can't even pronounce that right now. Sorry. It is expected that more Hong Kong users will be the first to experience the convenience of just that blockchain PC. And here is another great representation of something you've never seen before. So I want to state this. Sometimes when people see these things, when it comes to Avita PC over and over, I'm tired of seeing this. Okay. Understand, just because that brand is in your face a lot now doesn't mean you should dismiss any of it, because again, this is something in which before we got everything in Japanese, or I should say Chinese, And now we're seeing some of that English interpretation. I'm going to bring this up for you guys. Again, please smash that like if you haven't done so already. Check this out for a moment. So again, the English version of this on the interpretation, and it's nice to see this. Friday, July 28, 2023 is when they took this particular screenshot. I like this. I like the idea that they're giving us something a little bit more up to date. Do you want them to be giving us all this bullish news and then we go to the screenshot and it's like, you know, like GF Burke has mentioned before, what the heck, Max? You know, the screenshot shows a Vio laptop, and this was built in the late 90s or something. You know what I mean? Like that, like, huh? We don't want that. No, this is a little bit more modern, is it not? So it shows it towards the top left of your screen, and you're going to see some things here. And like, how much time did this guy use, for instance, his media player, right? You know, some of you guys use, was it VLC? Some of you guys use a Windows media player, whatever the case be, right? It's going to tell on the report, if you want to refer to this as a report, like how much time that was used on there. Again, the collection of data for anything and everything. You may think, well, there's not much value in that. Who cares? Who wants to know that? There is companies who care. There is companies that want to know how long you are surfing on the internet, how long you're just using it on your own local device. They want to know all those things for they can do what, guys? Come on. You know where we're going with this. For they can understand that, to get you that targeted marketing. But we're talking about what? Decentralized target marketing. That's the bottom line. Jasmy in the future with their consulting services will have a decentralized data marketplace. They will be disrupting an industry that really needs to be disrupted. How much money will that be worth? In my opinion, that would be worth a hell of a lot of money. I mean, unless we've been living under a rock our whole life, look what happened with Google. Look what happened with Amazon. Look at what happened with all of the centralized data collection, as some of the people refer to as centralized, you know, digital oil, right? We always talk about data is oil. Well, that's the centralized version of it. I'm looking at Jasmy from the perspective of decentralized data oil, if you will. It's absolutely incredible. And look at some of these examples here. So get more into it. You have, for instance, what's called as the JAS agent, right? Jasmy Secure PC Agent Pro Global Version goes down, shows how long a person was on, for instance, and even the times, right? They use their media player. This other example, Australia 4K, this guy was listening to relaxing music along with something another. At some point at 10:53, this person turned on Taylor Swift. I'm not exactly a big fan of listening to Taylor Swift, but whatever. I mean, maybe that's your thing. No judgment, right? But nonetheless, it gives you, like a pie chart, right? A representation of how much time was used on it and so on. Total keyboard usage, like did they type something in with their keyboard? You may think that this is like, who cares, right? Like again, the third parties care. And to be able to have something that you as the user, I mean, I want you to visualize this for a change. Literally visualize this, all right? Imagine all the time that you spent going to YouTube, right? Maybe you watched some other crypto show. Maybe, I guarantee you probably did. That's fine. You watched a video. Imagine all of that being tracked. Well, that's tracked through who? Google. Who owns what? YouTube, right? So they have their centralized version of this. Again, what you're seeing before your very eyes is the decentralized version of that. And just because we are not seeing everything going parabolic yet, doesn't mean that we won't get to that point. For the same reasons why in the early 2000s or late 90s, did you see Amazon go absolutely parabolic and so on? No, that did not happen. But if anything, Jeff Bezos and Amazon decided to innovate. Can you imagine if Jeff Bezos and Amazon decided, you know what? I think we're just okay with Amazon being an online bookstore. Look where that went, right? Multi-billion-dollar company. So understand what is being built in the background, understand the time it takes to get to, for instance, a bull market. Also understand the implementation phase that we've seen, right? And then getting to the phase where, okay, we got all these orders, and now people are actually using these blockchain PCs. Data in motion, utility in motion, those two key factors equals to a beautiful, wonderful thing of, like you see right here, supply and demand going worldwide, mass adoption. That's the key thing I want you to leave from this particular segment. And if anything, before we wrap it up, of course, we're going to show you just a tad bit more. But again, think about that for a moment. And this guy, I think you guys may be following him as of recently. His name is Neo X Tricks. Had a really great little thread here that I would want to at least give him props about. You know, it's a theory in his opinion about Jasmy, right? And we're gonna, like he says, unroll this thread because I didn't want to just leave you just off of that note. I wanted that visualization to be stuck in your mind. And of course, we'll kick it back in here the comments in just a brief moment. But think about the technology. So what he points out, he says, you know, this era where technological innovation has becoming the driving force of progress. You know, we referenced Kunitake Ando numerous times, Kazumasa Sato, especially with his patents, numerous times. These guys all bring something to the table of Jasmy. And that's a very, very cool thing. You know, when I see, for instance, Hedera, and that's later on our show, the Hedera segment, it's not just Dr. Lehman Baird and how brilliant he is. But as you can see, there's also other key players from Hedera and some of these other projects. They all bring something unique to the table. Well, you see that, for instance, with Jasmy. So it goes on to mention about this perception of a shadow of decline looming over the Japanese industry. And some people have stated that before in the past, like, you know, but every single time, at every turn of the table, you've seen Sony, like, for instance, in the late 90s, you know, what's the next big innovation? You know, the Walkman was huge. The Discman was, it was all right, right? But, you know, anybody who's been around since the 80s, like, come on, guys. Like, we loved our Walkman compared to the Discman. It was a night and day difference, right? And then, of course, when Sony PlayStation came around in the mid-90s and so on, that was a big, monumental, you know, innovation, to say the least. So he has this thread here, and before we wrap it up, I want to get into some of the key highlights for you guys. And it states basically, driven by a passion to restore former glory. Think about this. Ando, as in Kunitake Ando, highlights the ascent of the West in the realm of tech, which has surpassed Japan. Through his interviews, Ando suggests that Japan has relinquished its leadership in innovation to the West, especially amidst the acceleration of technology. And to reverse this trajectory, he, of course, founded Jasmy alongside Kazumasa Sato. Again, I pointed this out numerous times. These guys got this itch they want scratched. What else do we see out here lately about itches that need to be scratched when it comes to not just big-time millionaires and CEOs? How about billionaires, right? What was the latest itch that had to be scratched? Do you notice the top left of your screen? Right? See that X? Right. Elon Musk and X changing his vision of this dream that he had, switching Twitter, taking that Bluebird. Sorry, but, you know, remember that old song from the 1920s? If you had, you know, great grandparents and so on. Some of you guys did, some of you didn't. But anyway, there's an old song. It goes, I think it's from Gene Autry. And it goes, you know, bye-bye Blackbird or bye-bye Bluebird, right? Well, literally, bye-bye Twitter Bluebird. Hello, X. Shout to, you know, Mike Cornwell. He shared that particular video, old interview. I believe it was late 90s, early 2000s. Mr. Elon Musk and his visions for X to be a payments platform. Look where we're going. What are we invested in other than just Jasmy? The X's, right? XRP, XDC, XLM. So there is a key thing here about these guys who have these, and I'm keep saying it, these itches that need to be scratched. It's called unfulfilled dreams and, you know, a passionate desire to accomplish things from the past, bring them to the present, and then innovate from there to what is referred to as Society 5.0 and so on. How big will that be? And if anything, how many people are paying attention to Jasmy at these prices? Is still so undervalued. Are you basing your research off of Futter's nonsense, or are you basing your research based on actual fundamental, rock solid things that you see in regards to partnerships and where they're going with Society 5.0? Is absolutely massive. Check this out. The genesis of Jasmy dates back 2 decades, not just built like 2 years ago, right? 2 decades. The genesis. This is great material. Give Neo X Tricks a follow. He deserves it. States, this dates back, again, 2 decades, originating from the Felica project. Remember we talked about Felica in the past? All these different ones, what they bring to the table. Why be dismissive about any of it? We're not. The advent of blockchain acted as a catalyst, enabling Ondo and his team to delineate, I can't even pronounce that right tonight, practical applications of this tech across various digital domains, even to the creation of the renowned DD coin. And I'm telling you guys flat out, I think the DD coin is going to be absolutely huge. We get that paired, for instance, with a Japanese yen denominated stable coin. And it's absolutely just huge blast off, because there's one thing to try to convince people to use your product, use your innovation, use your services. And there's another where then they understand, well, I need this. Why do I need this? Well, it's pretty much required, to a sense, for to protect me, and I'm gonna get rewarded for using this utility. But being able to also have this paired where it contributes literally to the society, for instance, Japan, other areas of the world, and then you get rewarded for it, right? By being a token holder. You know, this is where, for instance, you see so much emphasis on tokenized assets. But tokenize, you know, public transportation, and it rewards you back. We're contributing to actually like local cities, towns, municipalities, right? By having these pairings, that is absolutely huge. You know, for instance, like I live in the city of Phoenix. Can you imagine if I, you know, had some kind of actual utility-based token that contributed towards the betterment of what we have here in Phoenix, and it contributed to the economy of Phoenix? Now, some people say, well, Max, that already exists. And I would say to a degree it does. Did we forget about the city tokens? And as we know, we've seen in the past the Miami token or Miami coin. That did very, very well, especially around this time last year, 6 months ago, and so on. It's been a while since that did well. I have to double check on that. But the point is this: forget the whole concept of just city tokens. This takes it to a whole new level, because you're incorporating city and so on, entire countries, right? That is absolutely huge. Look at this. The core of this ambitious digital transformation beats to the rhythm of Jasmy, just like I was telling you guys earlier. Converging blockchain tech, crypto, and the Internet of Things with a diversified network of partners poised to execute this action plan. The intent behind Jasmy becomes evident. Right, like I've always stated numerous times, you should look at Jasmy from the bigger picture of things. Everybody that's part of this mission of Society 5.0, from the top to bottom. You can even state DFFT. You could even include Tara Kona. That's why we always reference him. Why would we do that if he never specifically mentions Jasmy? Because understanding the key players behind the scenes that are the decision makers. Hence why I always reference Genki Oda, right? And I'm not going to go on and on about him tonight. Again, watch some of our particular videos. And if anything, check out the recorded video section where it says Jasmy, Bitcoin of Japan. Like, why, you know, why is it referred to as the Bitcoin of Japan? It gives you a whole breakdown of that. There's this thing about this initiative, and we're almost done in regards to this segment, but this is good stuff, especially if you've been waiting for the Jasmy segment of things here at CTN tonight. I want you guys to see this. This is really, really big. And if anything, maybe you guys feel as though, well, geez, Max, you said that the Stellar segment was going to be better. Hedera, I get where you come from. This is, I got to say that this is probably a pretty good segment, okay? So please smash that like. But yes, this initiative aims to position Japan at the forefront of the technological revolution. You know how incredible that sounds in itself? Oh, you're just trying to hype this thing up. Again, like I've always stated, you don't have to hype it up. If you have a project that has rock solid technology, it speaks for itself. I don't even have to be here. I'm just a messenger who brings you guys, news updates, education, and so on. But I want you guys to understand there is a technological revolution happening. And you do see numerous times in Japan, they reference the concept of, for instance, the fourth industrial revolution. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's the Klaus Schwab side of things and so on. Hey, call it what you want. There's a reality that is going to come here sooner than most people realize. So it goes on to state that the narrative, because remember we were talking about Sony earlier? Check this out. The narrative of Sony itself holds special significance within this context. The genesis of the name Sony, crafted by appending a Y, and this is interesting, to son, which means my little boy, and I wasn't even aware of some of this stuff, resonates as a call for rejuvenation. This quest for renewal is also embodied by the brand new manufacturing hub, the Japan Advanced Semiconductor Manufacturing Jasmy, right? You know where we're going with this. Poised to emerge as the premier semiconductor manufacturer in Japan. Now, what about the why, right? Because we can't just leave you, without giving you the why. While Jasmy, with its distinctive why, symbolizes a passage into the future, the vision, and remember, Kunitake Ando in his vision, and his collaborations is beginning to materialize. And boy, is it ever materializing. Things that we spotted out in the past, the office in the Silicon Valley area, right? The San Francisco Bay Area. For some people, they said that was a nothing burger. Oh, anybody can do that. There's WeWorks and stuff like that. Oh, I saw guys put Kunitake Ando. Can you imagine this? In the same category as Sky Gao. What an insult, right? Because we mentioned the whole thing with WeWorks. For one, this wasn't a WeWorks office. You can look it up yourself. It's been a legitimate office that's been around for many years. Then what we see recently, remember in the past, people were like, well, this could very well be their plug, their connect to the English version of these secure smart chain PCs. There was no news about it for about roughly a couple of years, and then boom, what do we all see? Oh yeah, English PCs come out. So again, making those partnerships, setting, literally planting the seeds, if you will, right? The office in the San Francisco Bay Area, seeing screenshots of actually what? As of recently, as in late July, of that demo in English. So it's not a bunch of BS. That's the bottom line. Again, they don't have to hype it. I don't have to hype it. It speaks for itself. But look, with Jasmy as their backbone, they aspire to imprint an indelible mark on Japan's technological history. Again, I will show you, and I'll have to remember this, maybe write it down. I'm going to show you guys that little YouTube thing, right? Ando consistently goes, I think it's every 2 weeks. I don't know if it's on a Sunday or whatever. They have a former, Sony retired community club, if you will. They all get together. He's talking obviously in Japanese, but they share these stories about their experience in the past, of what they accomplished and where they're hoping to take things to the next level with who they're connected with now. They don't even have to mention Jasmy. You can totally see the writing on the wall. That's big, right? These guys have an unfulfilled promise to themselves. And it basically is this. It's their legacy. And you want to know something? Last I saw, even here in the United States, a lot of us are focused on our legacy. Even you guys being here right now, you guys have, children, or you have grandchildren. You're leaving a legacy behind. What? Generational wealth behind. That's your legacy. What are they going to remember Grandpa Sooner for? What are they going to remember Grandpa and Grandma Cornwell for? Right? Like I've always joked around, at some point, one of our kids or grandkids or great-great-grandkids, maybe they should build a freaking statue for us, because we're the ones who have this opportunity to create that generational wealth, because we're invested in like the cream of the crop when it comes to the tech. All right, in closing, this is a great thought, or what's mentioned, I should say, from NeoX Trick, excuse me. He states, by basically erasing the past, they're going to craft a radiant future propelled by their enduring vision. And he says, thank you, of course, for reading to the Jasmy family. Yeah, I'm going to read this to you guys. I do a lot of things verbatim, but I also engage with the camera and all that and try to give you my own perspective. But this was very well written. And if anything, it helped with the outline. Know what you hold, know why you hold it. Just because you see a retracement or a pullback, like I mentioned, understand the bigger picture of things. And if anything, if you haven't hit your goals, whether it comes to Jasmy or some of these other great digital assets, consider that as what, guys? A blessing in disguise. Because you want to know something? There is going to be that time where that accumulation phase will be over with. 4-year cycles do not stay in one phase, right? They go to different phases. The next phase, if you're not caught up on this, is the markup phase. You can still make a decent amount of money, but as far as that whole concept of being able to stack at liquidated prices, as they say out in Jersey, forget about it, right? Absolutely.